story of Crimson Desert is not its central plot, but its themes of belonging, camaraderie, and shared experience.
On a structural level, Crimson Desert's main narrative is deeply flawed, and I'd argue it's borderline made up the further you get into it. Unevenly paced, kind of disconnected but just connected via loose threads, chapters feel stitched together, each focusing on regional conflicts that then only vaguely connect due to a broader, overarching bad guy. Moments of unintentional comedy, one in particular sticks out when the mutilated antagonist escapes in an implausible fashion. We'll be doing it a justice. I mean, it's such a joke, honestly. You know which bit I'm talking about.
Clive! Wait, what happened? Let my damn guard down. The cunt's running away. Shit.
I love the northern accents like I mentioned in part 1, but sometimes there's just these random American accents, and I'm looking at you, those two witches you meet like halfway through the story, just adds to the overall feeling you get of a lack of unified vision. And this was further enhanced or further reinforced by some interviews that the voice actors gave after the game was released. But by conventional standards, these are not great. Average at best, and worse than that if we're being totally honest. But I start off with that criticism because there's something I want to praise this game for, and that is the story that I took from the game. That is the sense of community and the sense of belonging you get from reconnecting with your long-lost Graymane brother and sisters. But maybe it's just me, maybe this is my mind lore, but the true story of Crimson Desert is not its central plot, but its themes of belonging, camaraderie, and shared experience. And that also bears out via the shared experience of the gaming community, who shared so much of how to progress in this world, how to find secrets in this world, thus adding to that sense of community. And I don't know if that was intentional. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was intentional to go with that feeling of Graymane camaraderie, but it felt almost like accidental genius. And this is expressed by the developers through the Graymane clan and the interactions within the clan. Repeated narrative beats of reunion carry emotional weight due to strong voice performances and fantastic dialogue between different members of the clan. They foster a genuine sense of connection, making the player feel embedded within the community rather than simply progressing through the storyline. And the dialogue is a huge part of what makes this journey so special. Again, I'm from the north of England where everybody talks like they do in this game. If you are not from the north of England, or just from England generally,
He's no right to be talking like that.
Let's just get home, eh?
did the dialogue immerse you as much as it immersed me? I'd love to know that from people from other parts of the world, especially when it comes to local translations. But large parts of this game sounded like a cut-up version of EastEnders or Coronation Street or Shameless or whatever famous British show you've seen where they'd say bottle of water or whatever the other jokes are nowadays on the internet. I loved it. It felt like finding the friends of my youth and just going through the Yorkshire Dales, which is where I'm from, by the way. Without a doubt, the worst of this game is when you have to push through the storyline. I'm the type of player who likes to do things in chunks, so I will do chunks of side content, chunks of faction content, and then chunks of mainline story content. And without a shadow of a doubt, the worst parts were when I was doing chunks of storyline content, which isn't helped by the terrible bosses, but more on that in part 3 of the review, which will be coming out in the next few days, so please like and subscribe if you'd like to hear that. The most compelling experiences often occur outside of the main quest. In fact, they always occur outside of the main quest, doing free roaming, resource gathering, or engaging with different NPCs. Even traditionally criticized elements such as fetch quests in open world games are reframed within this context.
Nice rich red would look striking on him, I
Run!
think.
Yeah!
Prepare to see a whole new side of him.
Not because they are just brief, but also because they have normally partially completed through natural play. They function less as mechanical filler and more as small character building or atmosphere building or just world living in building interactions that reinforce the player's place within the world. And even some of the game's more effective storytelling is found in peripheral elements such as journals and environmental lore. The writing of some figures in notebooks provide a richer, more coherent understanding of the world than the main narrative itself. Often I found myself smiling and smirking at the bits of narrative where you were just on horseback with one of the other Graymane clan members, just trotting through the village as they told the story before you begin a side quest. Linear story may not deliver, but as a framework for personal storytelling and a player having a personal story to tell of their own, it's fantastic. It allows each player to construct their own version of events, shaped by exploration, discovery, and interaction. I find it hard to believe that if any player played this without any guide, that they would have the same experience. In this sense, the real story is the one the player lives in the world of Crimson Desert, not the one the game attempts to tell. And yes, that is a negative on the game, but if it was intentional, it's also a huge positive and a touch of genius. Thank you very much for listening. Next up is part 3. That'll be coming out in a few days. Like and subscribe if you'd like to hear that. And the next part is called Kintsugi, and that is the Japanese design philosophy where flaws are part of something's beauty. And I'll be talking about the flaws of Crimson Desert in part 3. Thank you everyone. Peace. Look after yourselves.